Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mystic Path. Full disclaimer, it's been pouring rain all afternoon here, so it may just break out in storms again. Earlier it was pretty loud, so I was going to record earlier, but it was storming pretty badly, so it was fairly loud, so I kind of waited for it to settle down. Also, as of right now, Watson, our little mystic cat, one of our viewers actually coined that term, which I thought was hilarious because he's always joining the videos. So she coined him the mystic cat, which I kind of love. But when I saw him a second ago, he was sleeping in the other room. But that doesn't mean anything. He could hear me in here and come and join. So full disclaimer, if he does that, my apologies for the intrusion. I just wanted to get on here and do a quick short video on shame. I felt very called earlier. My guides I could tell they had something they wanted to say, so I stopped. I was working. I stopped what I was doing so that I could meditate for a little bit and kind of get in any messages that they wanted me to relay. And one of the things they wanted me to talk about is shame, because there's a lot of shame going on right now in our society, whether it's about the pandemic treatment. I want to watch what I say because I know they've been taking videos down that talk about the needle experience, if you know what I'm talking about. And not just that, there's a lot of shame in our society in general. I know the baby boomer and World War II generation were raised with a lot of shame, and they used shame as a tool for my generation, the Gen X, and all of the ones after, Gen Y, Gen Z, all of that, millennials. I think this is a very important topic because I have I myself, I talk a lot on this channel about therapy and how much it's helped me, and I myself have done a lot of work around shame because that was something that was used a lot in my family. You were constantly shamed for, that was actually the tool that was used to get you to conform, right? If you weren't conforming or following the rules or doing things the way the older generations deemed appropriate, they would shame you for it. And I even worked at a place once that the owner, I didn't work there for too long because it was not a good work environment and none of the employees were happy, and it was a very just low vibration, unhappy place to be. And it's partially, this is why. The owner of the company used shame and humiliation constantly. Like if you made a mistake, he would call a company-wide meeting and everybody would have to file into this conference room, like 50 to 75 people, and then he would shame you in front of everyone for making a mistake. Because his philosophy was, if I shame and humiliate you in front of everyone, you'll do better. That's kind of the old paradigm, the old way of thinking, that really just has no place on the planet anymore. We have to do better for our children, for ourselves. So they wanted me to kind of come on here today and talk about shame And then we're going to pull a healing card, maybe more than one, I'm hearing, to kind of get some messages from the other side on the best ways to heal shame. If you're suffering from shame, right? A lot of people are. So again, in general, our society, I don't know why, but I'm feeling really called for some reason to light this. So while we're talking, we'll do it. This is some rosemary smudge here. Anyway, so probably because I sage myself before I do these videos, and I just didn't today. I thought I would use the rose water, but not enough, right? They want me to use a little. All right. Okay. Okay, so anyway, like I said, there's a lot of shaming that goes on in our society. And one thing I've noticed lately, I don't get on social media too much anymore because it's just, I don't find it enjoyable. It's a lot of low vibration stuff going on social media. Bullying, judgment, and shame. Shame is a big thing going on social media, especially right now during the pandemic. Everybody's shaming each other. Either, if you don't believe with what I believe, then those people are shaming these people, right? These people are shaming these people because it's like, you don't believe in science. Like, it's just becoming a whole hot mess. And so I think that's partially why they wanted me to come on here and talk about shame. This is something that we need to heal in our society, and we need to transmute. And you can't transmute things without talking about them, right? We can't ignore things. We talked a couple weeks ago about spiritual bypassing and ignoring or shaming others. This is something we can't spiritually bypass. We have to talk about this stuff, because the only way to release these things and transmute these things and to grow as a collective of humans is to talk about these things that are holding us back. And shame is a thing that's definitely holding us back, right? I'm going to look up on my phone really quick just because I'm curious. What is the actual real definition of shame? Just because. Okay, shame. A painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. And then also, that's the noun. The verb is a person, action, or situation making somebody feel ashamed, right? And then the example is, I tried to shame him into giving me that. Okay? And so basically, causing humiliation or distress to another human. Consciously causing humiliation or distress to another human. Now let's ask ourselves, is that something we want to be doing? Do we want, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I can honestly tell you personally, I don't want to be purposely causing someone else to feel humiliated or distressed. Have I done that? Probably, because, like I said, in my extended family dynamic, there was a lot of shame going on. And it's not healthy. And I personally had to do a lot of work in therapy to kind of transmute and heal from all of the shame dynamics in my family. So, shame makes us kind of shrink, right? Like what I was describing with that job I used to have. How did that owner, how did he think it made his employees feel? The first problem is he didn't even think, how would this make this person feel? The second problem is he did know how it would make, and he did it anyway, right? So, that's something, like when he would call everybody in, and then whoever made the mistake, he would draw attention to them in front of everyone. And then he would like point out their mistake and be like, it cost us this much money and you're not doing your job at a high enough level and blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember it would make me uncomfortable just to sit there and have to participate as like, because he would call these company meetings and we all had to go. And so I just remember sitting there and just feeling sick to my stomach for the person that was like getting humiliated in front of everyone, right? And you could see that person start to like shrink their light. And, you could see that the shaming process was making that person feel less than, making them feel like, something's wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm doing a bad job. So basically, shame really does not do anything good for us as humans. It causes us to internalize somebody else's opinion about us, and then we start to have a negative self-image, right? And that's not healthy, because when you have a negative self-image, then you start to lose confidence. And to pretty much do anything in this world successfully, you have to be confident and empowered. And if you feel less than, and you feel like this little tiny person in this room of all these big, tall people, that's going to be hard for you to be successful, right? So because you need to view yourself as an equal. I'm as equally competent and strong and empowered and capable as the rest of these people. So, I think really what they wanted me to come on here and talk about is kind of talk a little bit about shame. And then we need to start asking ourselves these hard questions. Am I because I even caught, like I said, this was a family dynamic for me that I grew up with. I'm about to be 46. So that's 46 years of having shame modeled for you and having it done to you, and then you start doing it to others because you don't even really realize that's what you're doing, right? That's why it's so important that we stay conscious and mindful, because what happens as humans, if we're not conscious and mindful, we just do what was done to us, right? And so, there have been many times, like with my niece and nephew, where I will catch myself, like I'll say something to them, like they, whatever, they frustrate me, they've done something wrong, whatever it is, and I'll catch myself saying as soon as it comes out of my mouth, I realize, oh my God, that was my mom, or that was my dad, or that was my grandpa, right? I realize that statement is something they used to say all the time. Those aren't my own words. And then I realize, and then I'll immediately be like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, because then but that's what I'm talking about here. That's how easy it happens. Like when something is modeled for us for so many years, you take on that and you start also doing that behavior, and you don't even realize you've done it. Okay? So I think they want me to do this video because we all need to start being real conscious and mindful of our own behavior. And we need to start asking ourselves the hard questions. Have I been shamed in my life? If so, what did that do to me? What did that do to my psyche? How did it make me feel? How can I heal it now that I understand what it did to me, right? Also, am I shaming others? We need to start asking ourselves. Am I inadvertently shaming the people around me because I disagree with their belief system? Or, that's a perfect example with what's going on with the pandemic, with the needle. everybody has free will. So it's your choice or not whether you go and get the needle. If you choose not to do that, that's your choice. If you choose to do it, that's also your choice. Nobody should be shaming each other. It's nobody else's business. Like, what I decide to do for myself, what's right for me and myself and my own body, may not be right for somebody else and their situation and their body, right? So that's why we have free will. Everybody gets to make their own decisions. What's happening right now in society is we have a lot of people that are like, well, I've made this decision for myself, and I now think it's my job to shame everybody else into making the same decision I've made. And I'm talking on both sides, okay? This video is not about whether I'm for or against the needle. That is a personal decision each person has to decide for themselves, okay? And it's not my business if my neighbor makes the opposite decision that I've made. It's not my job to all of a sudden run out now and start shaming my neighbor. You didn't make the decision I made, so you're a horrible person and you're doing horrible things in society. Like, that's just absurd. It's counterproductive. Nothing gets solved that way. Nothing gets resolved. And I guarantee you, you're not going to change somebody's mind or beliefs by shaming them into compliance, one way or the other. Okay? Again, I'm not saying for or against. I'm not saying either one of those things. I'm saying everybody needs to sit with themselves, meditate, do whatever you got to do to connect with your inner self, and you make the decision that's right for you and your circumstances. And that's what being a loving, accepting human is about, okay? It's not making a decision and then shaming everyone else in the world that doesn't agree with your decision, right? And it's really crazy how we just arbitrarily, like, for example, I like to paint my walls a bunch of different colors, right? Like, for example, I don't know. Yeah, you probably can't. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit, but like this wall over here, here you go, is white. I don't know if you can tell that, but it is. And then the wall adjacent to it is navy blue. Okay, because I wanted to have one nice accent wall. When my mom comes to visit, she's like, oh, that's cool. But I myself would never do that, right? Because that's her taste. She wouldn't have just one wall a different color than all the rest of the walls. Like, all the walls in here are white, except I have one accent wall that's navy blue. Because that's how I wanted it. And, you know, she comes in here and it's not her thing. She wouldn't do that in her own house. But she doesn't shame me because I don't paint my house like she paints her house, right? That would be absurd for her to be shaming me like, that's just wrong, and that's not how normal people paint their walls, and you should really conform to the way it's always been done, because that would be ridiculous, right? Why would you humiliate and cause someone distress over the way they paint their house? You wouldn't, because that's just a wasted energy. That's counterproductive, right? If she came to visit and did that, then that would make the whole week that she was here not a very happy week. It would be uncomfortable. It would be all low vibration. We'd be irritated with you. I'd be irritated with her because she is always making comments about the way I painted my house. So my point is, we wouldn't shame somebody over something silly like that. Like, I painted my house a different color than you painted your house. That is totally acceptable in our society. So why is it not acceptable for us to make our unique individual medical decisions, right? Here's another example. Some people get plastic surgery. Some people don't, right? There's no right or wrong. That's a choice. These people choose to get plastic surgery. These people do not. No, That's everybody's choice. We all have free will. Now, do we shame, like, do the people that have plastic surgery shame the people that don't? Are they always like, you should really be ashamed of yourself because you're not putting silicone implants in your chest? Like, no, of course not. That's ridiculous. So I guess what they want me to talk about is we really need to start evaluating our behavior and asking ourselves the hard questions. Why am I doing this? Like, why do I feel the need to shame somebody else for making a decision that I wouldn't make? Okay? What they're telling me now is that comes from insecurity. If I'm secure in my decision to paint my wall navy blue, then it should not bother me if other people choose not to paint one wall navy blue, right? Because I'm confident and secure in the decision I made. I'm happy with it. It's the right decision for me, right? So why wouldn't we apply that same logic to like medical decisions, right? So I think they just wanted me to kind of come on here and talk about this a little bit because we have to start. This is something that goes on way too much in our society, is shaming people. And we need to really start evaluating our behavior and asking ourselves, like, why do I feel the need to shame this person? Why do I feel so threatened? Like, why do I feel so threatened by people that make a different decision than I made? Because I shouldn't feel threatened by those people. Because if I'm confident in my decision and I trust and believe in the path I've chosen, then I should not even be worried about what Joe Schmo neighbor is doing, right? Or what Joe Schmo neighbor thinks about what I'm doing. And I will say that does come with age. Like when I was younger, I cared a lot more about what people thought. But now that I'm older, I don't care at all. I don't care if you agree with my decision or not to paint one wall navy blue. It's no skin off my back if you don't agree. It doesn't hurt me in any way, shape, or form. Your opinion has no bearing on how I look at myself, my own confidence, my own self-esteem. So that's just one thing they want us to start looking at. We need to start asking ourselves, have I been shamed in my life? Am I shaming others? And then we need to really start trying to work on that and heal that aspect of our humanness, because it's not healthy. And again, let me remind you what the definition of shame was: to humiliate or cause distress to another. Why would anyone want to purposely humiliate or cause distress to somebody else? Okay? If you are wanting to humiliate or cause distress to others, it's because something is not healed within you. Because you shouldn't be worried about anyone but yourself. And you shouldn't be threatened by what other people are doing. So we're going to pull a couple cards now on what is the best way to heal shame. Oops. Oh, okay. It's funny. What's so funny is that card that just fell down, it's negativity, which is exactly what shame is, right? Nothing but just negative, low vibration energy. All right. So, spiritual team. What can we do to help us heal shame? Okay. Listen to your body is the first one. And let's get one more, please. Oh, is that it? Okay. Okay. Oh, one more. Okay. So, what came out here? Let's make sure you can see. I don't know if you guys can see because it's been rainy. Let's see. Is that better? Okay. So, first thing that came out, listen to your body. Second thing that came out, choice. Third thing that came out, barriers. Okay. So what I feel like, before we're definitely going to read the book because these healing cards have some great information in the book. But what I'm getting from this right now is we all have the right to our own choices, and we have to set boundaries and barriers with people so that they don't think they have the right to shame you, right? So if somebody is shaming you, that's a really good time to stop them in a loving way, which I understand can be difficult because sometimes we get triggered by these things, right? And sometimes when we're triggered, it's hard to be mindful. But we got to remember, in a loving way, if somebody is coming at you with shame, you need to lovingly set a boundary. You need to say, I'm going to stop you right there. We all have free will. We all have the right to choose what's right for us. And I'm not going to listen to you shame me because you don't like a decision I've made for myself and my body and my life and my circumstance. Okay? So then you say, respectfully, I'm going to ask you to stop. Now, if the person then can't stop or also gets triggered, you may then have to ask yourself, is this a healthy person to have in my life? Is this somebody that I'm going to continue to interact with if they don't know how to respect my boundaries and my lines that I've drawn? So, I don't want this video to be too long. So let's just see. Listen to your body. So remember, the question I asked is, how can we heal shame in both ourselves and society? And one of the things I'm noticing about this card is like she's blowing all these bubbles, right? And they kind of look like they have all these like things that happen in life. Like there's like a castle, a unicorn, a butterfly that looks like, oh no, it's like a frog with wings. There's a ship. So it's like she's blowing the bubble of all these choices. To me, these remind me of like the earth almost, like the globe. So it's like we all have the right to live in our own little globe of what is right for us. Okay, so let's start with listen to your body. Your body is continually communicating with you. It lets you know when you are hungry or tired. Your body uses its cells to pass information to you. Are you listening? Focus your attention on your body for several minutes now. Take notice of what's going on with it. Are you relaxed or tight? Does your stomach feel at ease? What other feelings and sensations may you be feeling? Take care of whatever you're sensing in your body, just as you would take care of a beloved friend. If you need to breathe deeply, eat something, or take a momentary break, please do so. You may have developed a habit of allowing everything else to take precedence over your needs. Doing so disconnects you from your body. Okay? It says, the dragon sits on the back of a blue-haired maiden as if whispering in her ear. The dragon signifies success in your endeavors. It brings messages of luck, abundance, self-confidence, and perseverance. It asks you to remain patient, to step back and to observe what your body is conveying to you. A star shoots across the sky, reminding you that magic is merely a wish away. Be more loving to yourself by listening to what your body is telling you. This is essential. Be calm, gentle, and peaceful as you strengthen the connection with your body. Okay? What this is basically saying is, in a situation where you are being shamed or shaming somebody else, you need to stop and connect with your soul and ask, why am I doing this? Why? Like, if you're shaming somebody else, you need to ask, why do I feel the need to do this? If you're being shamed, then you need to, ask yourself, what do I need to do to be more confident and more empowered to put boundaries in place? That's what I'm hearing. Let's go next to choice. 39. Choice. Somewhere along the way, you have given up your right to decide. This can happen for many reasons. You may have quit making choices under the pretext of being agreeable or putting somebody else's needs before your own. Okay? This is basically saying, when we change our behavior because somebody has changed us, we're killing a little part of ourselves. That part of us that has the right to choose and decide, when we allow somebody else to shame us, we're kicking that part of us to the back. We're like, get out of here. You don't deserve to make your own choices. Okay? It says, it may be that making a decision might be overwhelming, but you must remember you have so many options. Each choice you make takes you closer or further from your desires. So it is imperative that you start exercising your power of choice. If you feel confused about a decision, evaluate what is going on. Come up with a list of possible outcomes. Make your list as long and as elaborate as you need. Ask yourself, what is blocking your ability to decide? Are you afraid of making the wrong choice? Are you trying to please someone else? Choosing not to decide is also a choice. So we must decide to make healthy choices that meet your needs and desires. A fairy blows iridescent bubbles filled with possibilities. These bubbles represent hope, wishes, dreams, and the array of choices you always have in front of you. Bubbles may also indicate a need to raise awareness, as there are extraordinary moments of magic appearing to you. These bubbles can also represent happiness, amusement, and the innocence of childhood. Once you begin to make choices for yourself, it will become easier and easier to choose on the path of your highest self. So far, 2 really good cards in dealing with shame. This choice is a big one because, when we decide to start making choices for ourselves, what's best for us, no matter what anybody else thinks, that's when nobody can shame you anymore, right? Like, I reached the point a while ago where if somebody tries to shame me, it does not affect me. I honestly, my first thought is, oh my gosh, they really need healing because they are trying to shame me. They're trying to control my behavior by shaming me. And, as we talk about on this channel all the time, you cannot control other people's behavior. And it's not your job to do so. You only need to worry about you and what's going on with you. It's not your job to police anyone else, to make sure anybody else is making decisions a certain way or conforming a certain way. That's not how the world works. We all are individual, unique beings, and we all need to make the choices that are best for us individually. And nobody else has anything to say about that, right? Joe Schmo neighbor doesn't know anything about me in my life. So why does he think he has the right to decide what's best for me, right? So these are good cards so far. Okay, let's go with barriers here, which we've kind of already talked about. But this is their advice for healing shame. So this is what we're going to go with here. Okay, barriers. You have created barriers or defense mechanisms that may be preventing emotional or mental healing. The universe is eagerly waiting and willing to assist you with your healing. But you may not always be receiving the healing you desire. Something seems to be blocking or hindering your restoration. The obstacle may be a protective measure that you have put in place to keep you further from harm. This shield may seem necessary and logical. However, it is also preventing the healing light that is being sent to you. Defense mechanisms are a response to being wronged, hurt, rejected, abandoned, or abused. You may have made a mental vow not to allow yourself to feel a certain type of pain again. Once that block is in place, you may find it difficult to talk about certain situations or to receive corrective information about your experience. By identifying the root cause of your defense mechanism, healing can begin. You need to be willing to tear down the walls that you have built so healing can occur. Okay, I feel like what this card is saying is using shame is a defense mechanism, right? Something happened along the lines to many of us in our lives that hurt us. Maybe somebody shamed us and made us feel bad, right? So then instead of healing that and addressing the root issue, then we just started shaming other people, because then that's a way, like, you can't shame me for this if I'm shaming you first, right? Humans do that a lot. It's called projection. So I feel like what this is saying is that, first of all, in order to heal shame in ourselves as individuals and in the collective, we have to be willing to put our defense mechanisms down. We have to be willing to look honestly at ourselves, right? We have to be willing to ask ourselves these hard questions. Why do I feel the need to shame somebody else? Why am I so threatened by somebody else's decision, right? We'll use the paint again. Like, why am I so threatened by the fact that she has one wall navy blue? Like, because I guarantee you, it's not about the paint color of the wall, right? If somebody felt the need to shame me for that decision, and again, I'm not saying that happened because it didn't. I was just using that as an example to show you how ridiculous it is to shame somebody else. Like, that's just a ridiculous example, but that applies to anything. Like, if I go, again, with plastic surgery, like, I have a girlfriend, she's had a lot of plastic surgery. That's her business, right? I don't judge her for that. That's what she feels she needs to do, and that's what she feels is right for her. So why, why shame somebody who's doing what they think is best for them, right? It's none of my business. I would never shame her for that because it's not my business. If she feels better with whatever, a boob job, fillers, whatever it is, if that makes her feel better about herself and she feels like that's what she needs to do, then I should have nothing to say about it. If I'm her friend and I love and support her, then I'm her friend and I love and support her. Right? That means I don't judge her, I don't shame her, etc., etc. So again, we're going to wrap this up now because we're at like 40 minutes. But as always, the Spirit's always coming through with some good advice. For us to start healing shame, we have to start listening to our inner soul and our body, because a lot of the times we get these sensations in our body, right? If you feel humiliated or distressed, what happens? Usually your body feels tense, your stomach's in knots, you get a headache, whatever it is. That's the first step. You need to stop what you're doing and listen to your body. Then you need to ask your body, like, why am I feeling this way, right? The second thing, we have to recognize everybody has free will and everybody has choices. And what choices I make for myself might not be the same choices that you make for yourself. The choices you make for yourself might not be the right choices for me, right? We're all individuals. We all make our own decisions and our own choices. And we have to allow that. We need to stop being so defensive. Like, I feel like that's why this barriers card came out, because what they're saying is like shame is just a defense mechanism from us, like, being real with each other, from us accepting each other, right? What are my guides always saying that I bring up on here all the time? Anything other than acceptance is resistance. And I'm talking about within ourselves, okay? I'm not talking about, like, if you're in a relationship where you're being beaten or abused or molested, that is not what I'm talking about. You do not accept those situations, right? What I'm talking about when I say anything other than acceptance is resistance is things within ourselves. Like, I talked about how my family dynamic used a lot of shame. So in my 20s, I also used a lot of shame. And I didn't really realize that's what I was doing until I evaluated myself. And then I had to accept that this was a family pattern that I learned, and it was unhealthy. And then once I accepted it, then it was easier to start working on healing it, right? You can't heal what you don't reveal. And with that, we're going to leave it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your night, rest of your weekend, whatever it is for you. And I'll see you on the next one. Namaste.